Great. All right. So let me welcome formally to let me welcome all of you formally. My name is Samina. I'm the CEO for Ethica Work Life, as you all know, and we are excited to have yet another well-being session for you in our series of well-being events that we do each month for you all. Uh, as we all know, 2020 has been a very powerful reminder that we are all in this together. And our choices and actions have the power to protect us, even the most vulnerable among us, in a very big way. The same holds true when it comes to diabetes, or should I say, diabetes management. This is exactly why we have planned this very special event on diabetes awareness to mark the Diabetes International Month. And I'm very happy to let you know that I have an expert with me. Dr. Moslem, who's with us today, is a very senior diabetologist and probably the best I would vouch for in the city. So I'll not hold this any further. Let me formally welcome Dr. Moslem again. Dr. Moslem, over to you. Please take it over.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Samira. It's always been a pleasure, and thank you for a kind introduction. I may not be among the best. I would like to be with the rest. So that's how I've been right from my day of my practice. So, well, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Ezri Moslem. I'm the consultant physician and head of the Department of Medicine and Diabetology at Sunshine Hospital, Gachibowli. And I have been a student, an IIT student, dropped IIT because of my father. And it is his blessings and grace, by God's grace, that I'm here today as a doctor. And I have done my MBBS from Bijapur Alumni Medical College, and then went on to do my PG in MRMC Gulbarga. And then I went on to US to do my studies in Harvard. Then I did my research project in diabetes, that is from research to clinical practice in Jocelyn, which is the Mecca of diabetes. And I came back in India, and then I started the project, did a lot of groundwork on chronic disease management, and where were the loopholes and lacunae. I try to fill in that and to make them understand that it's a lifestyle disorder and how best we could go about in managing this disease. Of course, medicines are there, that's only 10% of it. But most important is that what this disease can do to you and over a long period of time, because I have seen the research right from the time the inception of the disease. We have gone through all those papers. We have gone all through those studies that were done for many years and many follow-ups that have happened in the US. So we had an in-depth analysis of all those things and came to understand that the key point that would help people in India. So that's how I have been working on this and carrying the torch for diabetic awareness in India, and also have started a small program for school children where we are creating a concept of creating the bridge between children and parents, which is so distorted today in our society, and that the children are totally oblivious of what the parents' health is all about. So we have started the concept of what we call health ambassadors, and how every home can have one health ambassador who would love to take the responsibility of the parents' health. So this all matters in the long term, which I will be narrating you today. So today I would start with the Chinese proverb. It is said that it is better to light a candle than curse the darkness. And many of us are living in ignorance today. To tell you the fact that life is such a beautiful miracle of God, we have been so destined and blessed to come into this world and see, and still are not able to appreciate the things. Think of those people who came into this world blind and couldn't see the beautiful world. Think of those people who walked into this world without hearing. Think of those people who are blind, deaf, and dumb. Some people who are born with congenital abnormalities, the brain was not functioning properly. So, but all those who are aware of, who has been blessed with a good health, and how thankful are they for this beautiful miracle of life. So I'm going to take you on a very different narrative today. It's not going to be the medical jargon which I'm going to talk to, because there are many Dr. Google students who are all sitting there. Most of the IT crowd is all students of Dr. Google and Dr. WhatsApp. And I do sometimes go through their accept comments, and look at the backgrounds of those people. It surprises me the confidence level they have in giving their narrative, and though they don't know anything about the subject, but nonetheless they do, because they hearsay, they have accumulated so much of knowledge on that front. They feel confident enough. But I always say that keep the knowledge to yourself. Do not others, because one shirt will not fit the other person. If you look at yourself around, If you look at the miracle of God, if you want to see how infinity is all about, look at each face around you. In your own home, not one single face matches with the other. When you step out on the street, not one face matches with the other. How incredible it is. One iris doesn't match with the other. There is not a single, finger ID that is matching with everybody. And every day, millions of babies are being born with different IDs. How beautiful it is. So I tend to say that it's better, as the Chinese proverb says, that it's better to light the candle now and then curse the darkness. So I'm going to start you with this by telling you, first slide. Right. Everybody is well aware of the fact that life started in water first. So there is no rocket science to it. But what I want to tell you that how beautiful the miracle of God works. If you look at the time, when you're small babies in your mother's womb, how is it possible for two small fluids mixing with each other and forming into bone and flesh and blood, and then comes out a small baby and then goes to live like a small boy, and then a young man, adolescent, a young man, and an old man, and then goes to the time destined in his time zone, whatever the time destined for him, say 90 years, 100 years. How is it possible for two small fluids to mix, and then something of a miracle comes out, and that goes on the time zone, facing all the harshness of the nature, coming across many infections, seasonal, accidents, happiness, disappointment, losing properties, and adversities, enmities, wars, accidents, and so many other things which we go through. And then certain diseases you develop on the way for reasons not known to you. And then certain diseases are dropped on the way. And then you carry on to live with certain diseases till the time destined for you, but you never die of them. You die of some other cause. So there is something like miracle within the system that God has made. Because if He wanted to tell you that, I have made this world for you to see and understand my path, then He's telling you to observe and analyze. How is it possible that traverse of time, you're still able to reach where you're destined to? So how does it happen? So it's all about the chemicals which are there in your own system, the miracle hormones which are there within your own system, which we are not aware of it. And if you're aware of it, we are very oblivious of it because we do not know how beautifully they function. So why am I telling you all this is that you should understand what an impact it is. We fail to understand that it is not that, we are spiritual beings going through some human journey. It's the other way. We are human beings, but we have a spiritual journey. We have spirit in us. So that's how it is. So our journey maps in this way because there is a spirit within us. And how the spirit works in conjunction with the hormones and the harmony they create within your system is all about disease and no disease at all. Okay? So now I'm going to tell you. So now there are certain diseases that get into you which are called as communicable and non-communicable. The communicable diseases are those that are transferred to your system through the bacteria, virus, and fungus. And now the latest on the map, you see coronavirus. So why we are at a loss today with the coronavirus? Why is it that it has transcended the human barrier and created havoc, though it belongs to the animal kingdom? This is because for the first time, these coronaviruses are there already with us. They've been there for 100 years. We have SARS, we had Ebola, and we had already prepared the vaccines for them. Why is it that this time we are not able to use the same vaccine to kill this? The apathy is that we have a soap and a sanitizer to kill it outside. But once it gets into your system, we have no clue. How is it? So this is the problem, what we call as communicable diseases that breaks your barrier, that breaks your own immune system. And how best your immune system is kept is by those miraculous fluids called hormones, which I'll be elucidating later as we go by. So the answer for corona so far, I feel that there are only 3 things that can help you to prevent it. Because I just want to give you little information on that. but I'm telling you that there are only three things that can help you. It's your own spiritual connect with God. Secondly, the first part of the milk, when you were born, the first milk which your mother fed you, that is called as colostrum. This milk is so important because it contains the best vaccines in the world. Nothing can match this. These are immunoglobulins. They will help you to give you immunity till life, till the time you reach to your time destined. But unfortunately in India, most of the mothers are not aware of it. They feel that it is a sweat and the sweat may go into my child's mouth and he may get contaminated, and they spill out the first milk, which is unfortunate that many people are not guided on that front. So for all to pass on this message to all the mothers to be, the first milk contains the best vaccination in the world. So that's how you could be prevented. How is it we are seeing in a community that many people are getting affected but not succumbing to the disease? There are elderly people who are also being affected, but they're not succumbing to the disease. That means there is some innate barrier within the system that is holding, that this is how the miracle of the chemicals work within the system. And in the non-communicable diseases, which after a long period of time, when we don't respect our body, and that's the time when we suffer. We don't understand how life is oriented, why the day has been made, why the night has been made. If there was only day, I don't think we would have been able to stand each other humans face to face. We would have killed each other by now. The night was only to put the mind to rest. And that's where the miracles happen. Sleep is so important, which I'll be telling you as we go by. Yeah. Now, you look at the non-communicable diseases, like you have this cardiac problems like cardiovascular diseases, you have diabetes, you have chronic respiratory diseases, and then you have cancer. So these are the chronic things that happen. It doesn't happen in one day's time. The cardiovascular disease don't happen in one day. It is not like how they show in the films that, you have heard some bad news and you get a heart attack. It doesn't work like that. The system has been made miraculously to function till the time destined, as I said. How they carry you from here. So there is a system within the system that prevents you from all this that is happening, but provided you respect the nature, provided you get in collusion with what the nature offers you. And in that way, if you live in harmony, then there is a harmony of the chemicals within the system. If you don't allow those chemicals to be harmonized and you are under a lot of stress, then you are causing these bad chemicals to be released, and they are the ones which cause the disease. This is how the heart attacks will happen over a period of time. This is how diabetes will set in. This is how the chronic respiratory diseases will come in. And this is how the cancers will set in. Earlier in our ancestral days, to hear that somebody had a heart attack, it was the news. But now it's almost an everyday affair. Every minute, millions of people are dying. In India, we have at present around 72.6 million diabetic patients in India. And many are having it still and not aware of it. The body is speaking well in advance. There are signals that are coming to you, which you're not able to recognize. I will tell you a simple test to tell that your body is speaking well in advance that you are going to develop diabetes in the future. This may surprise you, but that is how important it is to analyze. You just look at your wrist, okay? And if you look at your wrist, you find a line like this going here. You see this line, which I'm pointing out to you? This line. Yes, this line is the same depiction on the nape of your neck. On the nape of your neck. If you go ask somebody to take the mobile phone and shoot a photo out of it, and they will be able to see this line. This line is called Acanthosis nigricans. This line speaks well in advance that you're going to develop diabetes in the future. How many of us have been examining this? How many of us have told you that this could be a problem in the future? No, nobody has told us because we don't look at it. We are not aware of it. So that is the reason. So diabetes doesn't happen in one day. It takes many years. So moment this line comes at the back of the tip of your nape of your neck, it says gives a clear-cut signal that the insulin is not being properly used in your body. The chemical, the hormone that is used to bring the sugar levels down and normalize it. This chemical is going to be released but not be utilized. And that's how you will develop diabetes. So important it is that that is why this is the early sign of obesity. You will find this more common among people who are obese. You will find very common among people whose abdominal, if you look at the abdominal measurement, too huge. We are supposed to have a single pack. Unfortunately, many are carrying a family pack because we don't do any exercises. We just eat and sleep. We don't follow the right timings. And this is what it is. I'll give a very simple example. How synchrony of time is so important to us. For example, you have seen that many people are feeding pigeons on the way during the daytime. And the same tree, under the same tree during the daytime, you throw everything, all those pigeons will come and take it and go away. But as the evening sets in, little dark it gets, you lay out everything down under the tree, not a single pigeon will step down. This is the law of nature. They have understood it so well. But we humans have not understood the beauty of it. So now, what is it? Why is it they say that the old saying is very important, that prevention is better than cure? Because the later stages of management of those diseases have a very different burden on you. It has a burden psychologically, it has a burden physically, and it also drains your economy, which many of us have not understood so far. We have taken our willpower as the main strength to believe that we cannot be affected by these things. How foolish of us, how vulnerable humans are. Why don't we understand that today one coronavirus has stopped the entire world? We are so vulnerable. So prevention is better than cure. That was an old adage, but still stands the test of time. That we should be able to respect what we have with us. So before we go on to develop any overt disease over a period of time, so if you put off what they say, if you put off the spark, then you don't let the fire happen. What I'm showing the pyramid over here, we have this different levels to manage. How are we going to manage your chronic disease that will set in? So initially the primordial is that, you need to eat well, sleep on time, exercise. Everybody will tell you the same thing. Okay. And that is what, if you don't do, then you go to the next stage. You will be forced to use. You will have no choice. But there are people who do not accept the fact that they have a problem. They delay it. Once we cross the primordial and once you come to the primary, that means the signal is already given to you that something has already happened to the system and that needs to be taken care of. But many people falsely believe that the physical attribute is the major barrier for accepting that I can get this. The strong willpower is a major barrier in accepting this, that I'm also going to be, I'll not get this. Okay. My father had it at the age of 70 years. I don't think it's possible for me when I'm so physically agile that it should happen to me. But there are certain things which is forgetting. They lived in a real different time zone. They never had any stress. They woke up early in the mornings. They slept on time. They had 7 to 8 hours of sleep. The physical activity was enormous. Throughout the day, they used to walk for hours. They had a healthy, fresh diet, which was organic. It had no chemicals. They had no TVs to while away the time. They had good amount of positive energy among them because these are the people who sat, discussed, met people, socialized, and how important it is today. But today, unfortunately, we don't know who our neighbor is. We don't even say hi. And if you say hi, we have a suspicious attitude in our mind. I don't know why is he wishing me? We are not taking the signals that are coming to us. We are getting everyday signals. God has designed it that way. But how to accept those signals and allow the good chemicals to come into play with your system is all how wise you become over a period of time. But when the disease sets in, the depression sets in. That's where you lose the contact with everything. The depression is a major problem. Everybody is having it now because it's a very stressful life. We are working beyond our capacities. We are not thinking that we need to settle this, you need to rest the vehicle. And I personally feel, the IT sector are my best clients because unfortunately, they are thinking that over a period of time, they may accumulate some wealth, but unfortunately, it is going to go to the doctor's bank accounts. So please help yourself right now. As God said, if you help yourself, God will help you. If you don't help yourself, nobody's going to help you. So prevention will start right from your mindset. Unless and until you know that there are certain things that are coming in your family, which your parents had, invariably you may also get it. So be prepared for that. How happily we sign the property papers when we get it. But we are oblivious of the fact that certain things come in hidden envelopes. We have to accept them over a period of time. So how are you going to transfer this knowledge to your next generation? Does anybody have a clue about it? Does anybody know what is wrong with your parents? How many people have gone on? I had been to a school and I had started this program. I told you about the health ambassadors. I'm just telling you a small incident. I asked all the children in the class that raise your hands of all those children who have seen their parents taking tablets in the morning or afternoon or in the night. And you'll be surprised that many children raise their hands. And I asked them one simple question. Did you ask them for what are they taking this? They had no answer. Then I asked them that how good the concern is that somebody is sick, he's taking a pill, and you don't know about it. Why did you bother to ask him? Why did you ask him that I should help you? So this is how we are parting ways. This is where we are not trying to teach our own children that what is going to come in the future. How best we could start the concept of preventive medicine much earlier. How are we going to direct our lifestyles? How our cooking patterns are to be changed? So that is so important, which many of us are totally ignorant about it. So then you go on to the secondary diagnosis when the disease has advanced, and then you have multiple complications that come along with these diseases. And then like it is one you take one free and you get another one free. So that's how the offers are. If you look at all the shoppings, but this also, if you ignore the time and don't respect and don't get yourself checked preventively, then you'll end up into these troubles, because the secondary and tertiary have to be a chronic problem. You have to become you almost become like an LIC policy to the doctor. You'll be keep visiting them every month, or every 3 months you'll be paying them money to do the test and all that. But that's how it is. The most important thing is that physical activity. We are so tied up with our chairs that we hardly have time to think that, we need to take a walk. We have everything at the press of our button. Even the couches which you have purchased, what we call the recliners, you just have to press the button and lift your feet up. How funny it is. Those were the days when the people used to walk even after having the food, or they used to take a long walk after out of their homes. They used to enjoy life the real way it is. Now, what is going to surprise you today is that look at it. I have evidence of data which shows that physical inactivity increases 35 chronic diseases. Every system of yours is affected. You look at the digestive system, how many other problems you develop, what are the things that can happen, okay, like cancers, fatty livers. The biggest problem now today in India, especially South India, is fatty liver. This is such a major problem that many people have not understood. If you check, I'm sure for all the people, if you screen in the corporate, at least 50% will have fatty liver. The fatty liver is not only because of the alcohol, not because of ethanol abuse, it's also because of our oil, the amount of oil we consume. That is so important. If you imagine in a house of 4 members, you have 8 liters being consumed every month. That goes to show that 2 liters has been taken by every individual in a month. What is the requisite? The National Institute of Nutritional Sciences says that It is only 350 ml per head per month is a requisite. It is only a cooking oil. It's a medium. It's only to cook. Here we are drinking it. How is your body going to get this thing out of the system? If you look at in the night, when you have fried mutton on a pan and next morning you want to clean it, you require 3 liters of water. You require half a soap to wipe it off. You require a half a scrub to rub it off. It is so difficult outside. Just imagine what is going to happen inside. If you take a single vada, it contains 3 teaspoons of oil. If you take 2 vadas, it's almost 1 cup of oil. How is it going to come out of your system? So it is going to find its place and accumulate somewhere else. It accumulates around your liver, and then you have this abdominal obesity coming into you. Your abdominal girth keeps increasing. From a single pack, you turn into a family pack. And not only that, it is not that this abdominal girth is not going to affect you. It is already setting an example of what we call as a hidden syndrome. It is called as a metabolic syndrome. This is the actual beginning for people to develop diabetes. The first is the line, the second is the abdominal girth, and then when you measure your lipid levels, you will find high triglyceride levels. And then you have high BP. So this is, you may have fluctuations. You may be surprised that if randomly if you check out people, many people are going to be affected with it. So many people are going to be diagnosed with it. So it is so important that physical inactivity can cause so many problems. If you look at that, patients who are having this fixed joints, especially the elderly, the biggest problem here is that we are running away from God's nature. We are not coexisting with what He wants. He is saying sunlight and we are saying tube light. How will you function? Vitamin D is such an important vitamin for our body, and that can be got only when you sit in the sunlight. And there's a specific time zone in India, especially from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And that's the time those ultraviolet rays are released, and that trigger your system, especially your liver and kidney, to produce vitamin D, an essential vitamin. If vitamin D is low, then every joint of your body will have a cartilage like this. You see? It acts like a buffer. It acts like what you say those vehicles have, those suspensions. There's oil in that. If vitamin D is low, oil is gone, then the joints are fixed. You look at all the people, elderly, they're not able to lift their hands. Earlier, how beautifully our people used to get up in the morning and raise their hands upwards toward the sky asking for help. Today, we hardly raise our hands. We are only shaking our hands or we are waving now because of the corona. So this is what the problem is. So physical activity is so important. If low vitamin D is there, you're more prone for developing diabetes in the future. If you have low vitamin D, you're early to get arthritis. If you have low vitamin D, the chances of you developing thyroid. So it's all interlinked. So how important it is to get close to God's nature. Then you have weak bones, you have fractures in elderly. Moment they sit, the bones are cracking because they're not getting into the sunlight. It is not enough to just say, but we need to help them out, especially all the elderly people at home. We need to bring them out. So important it is. If you look at that, the mental IQ development of the child in 2 months' time, when the baby is in the womb, at exactly after 4 weeks or 6 weeks, the brain development starts taking place. And at that time, if this essential vitamin D is not available, the cognitive function of the brain will not develop as you want it. You will not get a child with a good IQ. It is so important for all the pregnant mothers to sit in the sunlight. Just for 10 minutes you require. What is the daily consumption of vitamin D? The requisite is almost around 3000 milligrams. But if you sit in the sunlight for 10 minutes, you will get it. Just for 10 minutes. That is what is so important. Okay? And now the endocrine. So all the organs get affected if you don't do physical activity. Like you get that insulin is not going to be properly utilized. The muscles are not going to move. If the muscles move, they ask for fuel. And the fuel, there is a lot of glucose in the blood, and that's how it will be transferred. But that is also not going to happen if you're not going to be physically active. And then many things like you're going to develop BP with sedentary lifestyles. So many diseases do happen, like the cardiac, you develop cardiac problems. You can have a heart attack. You can have a congestive cardiac failure. You have cholesterol deposition into the artery lining, and there the narrowing happens, and then you develop a heart attack. And then the muscles become weak. They are not used up. You're not able to lift your limbs. So all these problems are all because of physical inactivity. And if you don't have physical activity, you will not be happy because you are not allowing those good chemicals to come into play. How important it is to be positive. So the physiological mechanisms, I will not elucidate everything in detail, but it is so important to understand that what impact that each activity has on each organ of the body. For example, if you do physical exercises, you will be able to burn fat. Like many of the people used to say that you burn fat when you this one. In fact, you're burning the calories. And the excess amount of calories that are deposited with your lifestyle and food are around your abdomen, around your stomach. How does this get burned out? For that, you need to do physical activity. Nowadays, people are very happy with the amount of bank balance they have. You need to become an ATM machine. If you're feeding it, make sure that you burn it. That is the secret to get the fat out of your system. You need to burn it. Then how you should manage? How many of us measure our weight every day? We don't. At least keep a track of it, at least once in a month. Make sure that you have an entire family getting weighed so that at least you know what is happening to you. Somewhere you need to be, you cannot totally depend on doctors for everything. You cannot be too ignorant of your own problems. You need to identify, because when you come to the doctor, he's going to ask you some questions. Since how long this was? Was this a recent thing or was it of late onset? So understand, until you're going to pay attention to your own self, even the doctor may not help you, because if you're not able to get the clue which he wants to make your diagnosis, then many things can be missed. There was one patient one patient had come to me who had a swelling in the leg. He was only around 40 years old. And then I asked him that, he's saying of late I'm getting a lot of pain. And I asked him, do you get shortness of breath? He said, yes, I do. It's only on the one leg? He said, yes. Then I was a little curious to understand that. I wanted to ask him that is there any genetic link to this? And I asked him, is any of your family members suffering from this? Did your parents have it? He said, no, there is something mysterious about my family. I would like to tell you. Something is happening. I feel it is like a curse to my family. I said, let me know it. He said that my brother, who was 20 years old, he just went home, sat down on the sofa. He was talking and suddenly collapsed. And he was complaining of some leg pain a week before. Another brother of mine who was standing near a traffic signal and was kicking his bike, and he collapsed after maybe 2 kicks. And then another brother of mine who was sleeping in the night and told his wife that to press my legs because my leg is paining very badly. And next day he didn't wake up. So there was something going wrong which we were not aware of it. What hit me was that there is a genetic problem. There's something that is coming into them and they're not aware of it. How many of us are aware of our own records? None. Many of us don't even know our physical imprint. Many of us don't even recollect our own blood groups. So it is so important. So unfortunately, by God's grace, we got his test done and he had a predilection for what we call as the hypercoagulable state. He developed what we had, deep vein thrombosis. His body was prone to develop clots and they traveled and killed all his other brothers. But he was lucky by God's grace that when he came and we diagnosed it and he was able to take the medication. Now he has to be on long life medication called blood thinners, but he's done. He's good now. And he feels sorry for himself that, my family was ignorant. My brothers could have lived with me if they had just got this thing right. But it's all destined. So awareness is so important. Don't read all the unnecessary jargon that is required. Just do your phone physical checkup every day. That is important. Take your own abdominal measurements and see in a week how it has gone up. Check your weight every month. See how much it is increasing. Check for those lines. How important it is. Even the small children are developing, which I've seen in schools. The insulin resistance have started for the young girls. They become so obese and fat because all junk food and no physical activity. And they are also going to develop the hormonal problems for them, which will be a problem for them in the future to conceive. How are we going to guide these children? Unless until we are not aware of it. So that is so important. If you don't maintain your body weight, the impact is going to be on all these organs which I have shown. The kidneys, there's a system by which they work. If your weight is increasing, then you're causing too much of pressure for the heart to pump. When your body mass index is increasing, more pressure is required. And in the peripheries, because of the cholesterol deposition and because of physical inactivity, the heart has to pump to open them up. If you're not able to open them up, the pump itself is a muscle. It will also, over a period of time, get fatigued and expand. That's what we call as congestive heart failure. So important it is. So the impact is on everything. And the most important of it is the circadian synchrony, which I'm pointing out to you. So important, because if you don't have a proper sleep, the requisite is around 7 to 8 hours. So important. Uninterrupted sleep of 7 to 8 hours is what has been put in the books, and all the studies have shown the benefits of it. So make sure that uninterrupted sleep of 7 hours. And if you switch on the light and sleep, your good chemicals are not going to come into play. Night, that's what it is. Because from the beginning, from the time when Adam came into this world, he was sent with a sensor in his mind, in his brain. And this sensor, this particular sensor is active only in the night. It doesn't work during the daytime. And if you make your night as day and day as night, that chemical is never released, which is a good chemical, the serotonin, which I will show it to you as I'm going across. So how, out of our own ignorance, how we are making the body suffer? When you are under stress, you are allowing all the bad chemicals to come into play. And what do these bad chemicals do? They release certain chemicals that will have an impact on your organs. And when they have an impact on your organs, they don't make them function properly. And that's how the disease state sets in. So they act at very different levels. So they release some bad chemicals, like any injury for us. For example, if I get a wound outside, if I hit something on my hand, first thing in an injury, I will get a swelling, I will get redness in that area, I will have some fluid accumulation in that area, and I will have heat coming in from that area. So this is what the natural inflammatory process is. But just imagine when these chemicals are being released in the system, how much havoc they are doing on all your organs. And these are the ones that sets in for your other diseases to set in, like your hypertension, your cardiac problem, your diabetes, they're all related. This has been worked up on all the levels by the American Heart Association on all ages across to understand how important physical activity was. They studied these people for a period of time, for 5 years, 10 years, and looked at the modem of activity which each individual was doing and those who were not doing and what it had an impact on them. So based on that, they made certain recommendation that the aerobic exercise should be around 90 to 150 minutes. I'm not saying that, you should do exercise like how somebody else does it. How you feel good about your own self in doing it, that is what matters. If you look at the early morning walkers, when you go to office in the morning, you look at their faces, it looks like the doctor's prescription is stuck on their face. They're not happy in what they're doing. It's like somebody has pushed them to do certain things. And that's where you're allowing a lot of stress hormones to come into play. So you're counterbalancing. In turn, the good hormones have to come, but still they're not able to come because the bad hormones are still coming in. If you're doing an activity, do it with full heartedness. Make sure that, I need to enjoy this. That's where you're going to trigger your good chemicals to come into play. And most importantly, I mentioned certain resistance exercise, because the biggest problem is that with related with our immunity is that we need to have abundant muscle mass, and that comes only with proteins. And for those muscle mass, you need to tone those muscles. That is important. You straight away cannot jump into doing exercises. You will do it for one day. You will join the gym for one day, and within 2-3 days, you will not come out. You will be at home. And the gym people will be very happy to know that you have a lap of 3-4 days because they've got income out of it. But so important it is that how you need to work out a plan. Most important is first sit in the sunlight. Then do yoga. This is our hereditary. This is the biggest asset and gift and transformed knowledge which the West is using. Toning. You need to tone your muscle first before you get into any activity. So relaxation is what they call, but what I call here is yoga. And yoga is so important for us. It helps to relax every muscle of your body because it tones them up. It sets the precedence for you to do your exercise simply, very easily you can go about. And nutrition also plays an important part. What we are destined to eat, we should know that what comes from our soil of our own survival is good for us. You may say that I may eat grapes from California, but that's not equal to one handful of our groundnuts from our own soil. Because these are the bacteria and viruses that help me to live in harmony. They help me in preventing me from certain diseases because those antibodies are already there. And every season, these things are going to come and change. And I'm standing on the same soil. So it is so important that it becomes imperative that you go with the flow of the nature. Whatever produce comes out of the nature in that particular climate and time is what needs to be consumed. Don't feel too happy about it that, I'm able to get this off season. These off seasons are the ones have been made out of human greed. And they're not going to help you. They're not going to boost your immunity. Your immunity lies in your gut, in your stomach. It depends upon the balance of the good and the bad bacteria. Are you aware of it? That the balance has come to do with your immunity is connected only with your gut system. And in that, there are two important chemicals, the pre and the probiotics. These are the good bacteria that are required. An imbalance of this bacteria will not have a good impact on your nutrition. Whatever you may consume, you may even consume gold. But if these pre and probiotics are not there to break them down and extract the actual ingredients to be given to the tissues, then the immunity is not going to be developed because if you put the right fuel into the tank for the right vehicle, it will work. You cannot put diesel into a petrol vehicle and say it will work. It will never work. So nutrition is so important. But first, the pre and probiotics and the seasonal fruits go with the nature. The pre and probiotics are easily available on two natural foods. One is the yogurt. The yogurt which is set outside, not in the fridge. You need to consume it by afternoon or by evening, not the overnight fermented curd because it may cause a lot of acidity. And the second one is the idli, our South Indian idli, the batter which they make. If you do not add yeast, do not add any soda to the batter. And the ones which are coming in the market are coming with preservatives. Nothing can make it stand on the shelf life for 14 days unless until you don't add a preservative. So this same curd could be added to increase the colonies of the pre and probiotics, and they're going to be very helpful to you. Okay. And then management of weight. You need to assess your weight for your height. You have a scale which describes the ideal body weight for Indian height, and that should be your target. That's easily available. You can just take it from there. And the most important thing that can damage your health in terms is alcohol, smoking. These are the ones, people who are more prone for developing early heart attacks, and they die very young. If you look at the non-westernized population, where the physical activity is there, you look at the high expenditure, and then automatically you bring down so many other effects on health parameters. Like you take a high intake of fruits, tubers, roots, vegetables, and low intake of processed foods. And then you follow the correct circadian rhythm of sleeping properly. Look at the regular sleep-wake cycle. Eating during daytime. Because we have been destined to eat for 3 times. Our mothers fed milk for us every 1 hour. And we cried more, they gave us more. And then they put us on a 3-time meal pattern. Our system, our brain has accepted this. It is foolish of anybody to miss a meal and say, I'm dieting. He is in fact causing more harm because the brain is setting, the clock has been already set. It is going to release that acid at that particular time in your stomach, and the food has to be there at that time. You cannot be ignorant. So that's how the problem will happen. Then sunlight exposure, daytime physical activity, and look at that. How the high blood pressure is coming down, how the cholesterol levels around your adiposity levels are coming down, how your glucose and insulin levels are falling down, how your cholesterol levels in the blood are falling down, how the of inflammation within the arteries is settling down. But if you look at the westernized population, look at that. They have a sedentary lifestyle. You have low energy expenditure. Your hypercaloric diet. You consume all fat and heavy meals, refined grains, sugars, ultra processed food, high sodium to potassium. Have you ever seen at the cool drink ads? You'll be surprised that it has not been meant for kids below 10 years. It is written in italics. If you look at the Coca-Cola ad in the newspaper, you'll be surprised to find it in the italics. In the lowest negligible reading material, they put it at the end. And unfortunately, we are feeding children with all these beverages, not understanding how much of sodium and potassium imbalance it can cause. And these children will be prone for developing obesity in the future and developing early diabetes. So it is so important. And look at the irregular sleep pattern. We work day and night shifts. We don't give time to ourselves. Irregular, whatever we get, we eat it. No physical activity, no sunlight at all. And then this has an impact on our own psychological behavior. If you're depressed, you're allowing all the bad chemicals to come into play, and you're not the same human being. You behave abnormally. Then you're cut off from the society. You cannot socialize. Not many people like to be near you. So much of trauma you need to go through. So what is that, the things that cause too much or too little of these good chemicals and bad chemicals to release within the system? Genetically, if you look at that, there are certain people who are having some chemical deficiency within the system, okay? And they're related to what we call as gene-related diseases. Like we have this certain good chemicals which are there in the beginning and they're not there later on. So because this was there in the genetic tree. So over a period of time, like how for ladies, the menopause, the menstrual cycle will stop at that particular time. For young children, the menarche, they grow young, they start developing the hair in all the private areas, is because these hormones are being released at that particular time. And these hormones over a period of time become deficient somewhere because there's a genetic link in the system that this has to be cut off after so many years. We only come to know about it when we just see into the symptoms. But something is already happening behind. Look at that. The genetic diseases which are related, like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, this is all because of the chemical imbalance that is happening. So to bring them back naturally, we need to have a very positive attitude to allow all the good chemicals to come into play. And that will happen only when you start to believe in yourself and try to go with the flow of the nature. That's so important. Coexistence with the nature. And then a poor nutrition, a diet, a mother, when she was totally underweight, herself and conceived, the child is going to be born not as a healthy child, low birth weight child. And his health is not going to be good enough. His immune system is not going to be that active because all organs have been shrunken. You look at our progeny, during the time of the famine, they were all skins and bones. And the progeny that came out of that went on to develop diabetes because their organs were already 50% non-functional. So it is so important that you need to know your genetic tracing. Stress can raise or lower your certain body chemicals, which I'm going to tell you later on, which are the good chemicals and how it is. And then this stress hormones are active. They will keep your brain alert. They will not make you to sleep. They'll make you think again and again that the cycle is going to be vicious. One thought comes into your mind, it doesn't get off. Why? It is because the chemical is being released. And that will not alert you because it's keeping the awake system away. It's going to keep your awake system up. So lack of sleep is important. So then there are certain drugs we do not know for what we are taking them. For example, you look at the people who are taking, because I want digestion, I'm taking that antacid. They're not knowing that these antacids are the biggest ones, much worse than the painkillers that can damage your kidneys. We are just popping pills just like that. They don't even go to the doctors. They just go to the chemist and ask him, I have acidity. Okay, you take this. You do not know which is the pharmacokinetic of the drug, how it's going to help you. The latest things that have come into the market, they've already said that medicines like antacids, ranitidine, and one class of these drugs were causing cancers. They have been taken off. And proton pump inhibitors, like we take pantoprazole and all the sort of drugs which are there for controlling the acidity, they can damage your kidney. So you need to be knowing what is happening with you in the system. It is worthwhile going to a doctor and taking advice correctly rather than taking something and suffering for a long period of time. I cannot go to the tailor and tell him that, please cook this food for me. It's misinformation. I need to go to the right person to get the right information to get my work done. That is so important. Now, how well you can go about, in bringing this. This has been my favorite slide. I always take it to all the people. I want to tell that, the whole power of healing, curing, everything is within your system. It's a beautiful miracle of God. If you have just understood this, I don't think you need to take anything from outside, but you need to go with the flow of the nature. That's so important. Law of the nature is so important. Look at this. What are the 10 ways to optimize your well-being? How well you can be, how you can be disease-free. Okay. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you. The secret of more productivity. People are talking to you good. There are some workup classes by some spiritual gurus. They're all what? They're only making you to think which you have not been thinking about. This is what it is. So we are not human beings. We are just spiritual beings. This is what we need to understand, that we are spiritual beings going through a human journey. That is so important. Now look at the most important chemical that will be released within your system and how they come about. When do they come about and what beautiful things they do to you. How excited you will feel when you see them. When you are happy, you look at yourself. You look at the joy of the people. You're not sharing at all. We're not looking at it. We're not even looking at the nature. We're looking at the nature in abstract format on your screen. Oh, how beautiful it is. You are not experiencing the everyday, the pond that is near your home. You're not spend time to take the positive energy from those trees that are around your home. It is so important because environmental impact on you has certain impact in causing certain diseases to you. If you don't take the benefit of the environment, then you're going to suffer. Now see how important these chemicals work. This oxytocin, it is called as the love and social hormone. When does it come about? When you shake somebody's hand, when you put an arm around your friend, these are released. How happy you feel. How you look at the happiness on the face of friends when they're all together. This is the excitement of what good chemical they bring about. So look at it. And when this oxytocin can be released, when you have a social bonding, when you feel good about it, when you have natural orgasms, when you're making an eye contact with anybody, and that too with a pleasing eye, not with a prejudiced mind. If you're looking and smiling at people, why people smile in the West? This is because they're allowing the good chemicals to be released. And playful. Spend time with the kids. That's so important. We are on a journey which our children will remember us only in our photos. May or may not, because we didn't have the good experience of being in real time with them. The problem is that we are not in real time with them. Even when we are with them, we are thinking about our office. We're thinking about, I need to do this tomorrow. But being present, what is important is that you are here now. You have an opportunity. Be with them. That is so important. I, as a doctor, in the beginning, when I had come and passed and came out, and I was looking after an emergency center at Medipatam. It is an Apollo emergency clinic. I ran that for 14 years by God's grace, day and night, 24/7, 365 days. And every night I'll have 4-5 emergencies. I used to just wake up and go. I was so determined. I was so passionate about my work. My daughter kept telling me when the Sunday came, she said, Dad, I want me to take me to swimming pool. I said, sorry, beta, I'll take you definitely tomorrow. And it went on. You believe me, I was able to take then after a long time, my daughter, as she grew, she came to her 6th class or something. And one night she left a small note in my pillow because she knows that I sleep like this and my hand may touch that. And what was written in that changed my life forever. She said, Dad, if you want to be in my future tomorrow, be in my present today. Let me have some good memories. That shook me up. And from that day, I don't practice on Saturdays and Sundays. It's only family time. And I'm telling you, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Because see, Our family trees have been brought with those genes. We have interconnectivity with those things. We feel good in our own environment, which is so positive. We can make it possible. We need to unburden ourselves. We need to drop the luggage. No matter what, it's not going to do anything good. Just 1 rupee extra, not going to matter. That 1 hour extra with your child is going to make all the difference, because it's going to allow you to live happily. It's going to allow you to get all the good chemicals to come into play. The next hormone is the mood and sleep and memory regulator, which is the serotonin. How does it come about? As I told you, it works only in the night. See, because the sensor is there like that. If you switch on the light and sleep, it's not going to work. It's not going to come into play. But it is so important because it is a repairing hormone. It comes about when you do exercise. It comes about when you're very peaceful at your mind. And it repairs your body. So important. When you're sleeping in the night, you know what happens in the night? This serotonin hormone is being released by one particular gland called the pineal gland, which is light sensitive. And the night when you sleep dead, this pineal gland will send supervisors to find out what all the things that have happened anyway. A priority list is created after getting the information that which part of the body is being damaged, and tomorrow this is going to create the problem for this person to be active tomorrow. And when the list is created, the brain analyzes it and waits for the signal from God that which should be the priority. No. This man is a holy man. He has to go to the temple in the morning. So his particular good hormone has to be released. So please, priority wise, make sure that tomorrow he's able to walk. So please go and repair. And then the signal is given and then the repairing happens. But this will happen when you have nature, like 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep in the night. So important. The next is the dopamine. Why we are not able to do things the way we want to? My brain is so active. Everybody has intelligence. Why is it that we are not even able to do these small tasks, small skills? Because there's lack of motivation. And the motivation is only because of dopamine. Now, how does it work about? When you eat good food. Nowadays, when you eat food, you're just eating for the sake of eating. You're not relishing it. You're not even looking at the food because the food is not being presented the way it should be. If you go to a 5-star hotel, you see the salads being decorated and put there, how good you feel. You don't like it, but you're tempted to pick it up and eat. That's how it is. You should allow your food to be presented. Make yourself feel like kings. Present your things properly. I would request all the wives to, that tell them to serve it in a better way. Create an environment at home. That's what is important. You are living together for so many years, you're going to see your same faces. But create an environment of happiness. And that can happen with visuals. Eat colored foods. So important. How good those colors are for the system. You'll be surprised. Not the artificial ones, but what the nature provides. Because nothing can match what the nature provides. Okay? So these will come out when you're playing sports, when you're learning new skills like painting. Somebody wants to do glass work. Somebody wants to do something in carpentry. Somebody wants to make something more innovative. A thinking mind, what we call. Will come out at the time. And exercise and meditation, of course. And then the last one I'm talking about, the endorphin. These are the beautiful hormones. These are the hormones that make your soul feel good. This feeling is never ever got anywhere. If you ask a person who has had sex, and after that, the impact is so good. The whole body is loose. The whole thing is so obvious. You cannot even imagine. This is a more personalized feeling, which the release of these beautiful chemicals. But we are so busy, we are so bugged down, we have the intention only with the intention of pleasing, but not even creating that environment to have it. We're delaying it, we're postponing it. But that's what it is. Whether you like it or don't like it, your sperms are already getting accumulated. The hormones have worked on. Then they cannot keep it stagnant for that long. And that gets the system demotivated. Because these chemicals are produced within the system and they have to be ejected out. But for that, you need the dopamine to make that motivation that I have the inclination to do it. I want to do it. I want to enjoy it. But that's so important. But that happens only when you have harmony. When you have harmony with the person, you make good contact with the person, talk to the person, then things can work out. Here we are expecting things, and that's wrong. Respect and do the things that two like-minded minds sit together, two like-minded minds sharing the same thought feeling, it works out better. And of course, chocolates. They're the richest source of flavanols, and they are very good for your heart. I will not say that everything has to be taken in moderation, but chocolates are good. And I love dark chocolates. I'm not advising, not many will like it, but it is so good because they are very rich source of flavanols and which are very protective for your heart. Then you have this aerobic exercises and laughing, so important. We have forgotten about that. We are only looking at the cartoons and only they only stimulate us, then only we laugh. We have stopped sharing jokes. We are having some silly jokes running on the WhatsApp. We send messages to people. We send weird captions. And it's just a weird smile. You are not laughing your heart out. Make sure that you laugh out loudly, clearly, make feel that, this is the most beautiful thing that has ever happened to you. Appreciate everything that is happening to you. Don't be in the why it has happened to me. There are no answers for that because your time zone has been planned and this is going to happen. It is like a train journey. You're going to have many people who are going to sit on your same seat or opposite seat. Many will step down, new ones will come in, and the journey will go on. New experiences on every station. So you cannot be just bogged down by these things. You need to move ahead. Look at life in a very positive way. That you need to move around. That's so important it is. And listen to good music. See, these are what I call the best vibrations for the soul. And every day God is sending so many signals to us. But we are not able to appreciate them. Our mind is too occupied with worldly things. We are not able to take the signals that are coming. Even if an opportunity that comes to us, we look at it with a prejudiced mind. Why did he come? I better send him off. I don't like his face. I don't know what he's going to talk. Why so prejudiced? Why don't you open your heart and mind and listen first before you take any action? Who knows, there was a blessing in disguise for you. This man had come with a very big opportunity for you. That is so important. But we fail to do that because mind is a barrier. We are creating our own barriers. Exercises will make you feel good. Meditation, of course. Silence, cut off the world. Just let the body be itself without any responsibilities, without any feelings, without any obligations, without any task. Just let your body feel like a king standing on planet Earth. He is like that. You should feel like that. Have you any time walked on the grass with your bare foot? Have you any time experienced the waves of water? Or every time have you sat near a pond and just moved your legs? Have you every time held a leaf in your hand? Please do it. They're the most beautiful experiences of your life. Please appreciate that it's all around you. There's nothing bad. Everything has been created for us. But we are so occupied with our own work that we are not bothered that we know it is going to be there. It is going to be there next season also. No, it's not going to be the same thing. Look at the sky. It not have the same clouds. Every second it is changing. So learn to appreciate. That's what I mean to say. So the 10 daily optimization plan, give a kiss and hug, but to the concerned person. Without consent, you could land up into trouble. And be playful, cheerful, exercise, meditate, eat eggs, get some sun, listen to some good music, have sex, have a lot of fun, learn something new, learn a new language. That's why the brain is not going to be, over a period of as you get old, you may start forgetting things, but you need to engage your mind. You need to have certain exercise for the mind. For the elderly, I'm telling all the kids, please make your parents, look at visual differentiations. Like you have old newspapers, take out the hocus pocus and tell them to differentiate between the two pictures. The mind will be active. Let them give them certain tasks. The mind will be active. We need to help them. If we don't help them, they feel depressed because we cannot forget what they did to us. Many a night they have gone sleepless, only taking care of us. How could we be so, not feeling good that we need to do something good for them? I request all the people who are away from your parents, at least make a visit to them once. Be close to your family. Meet your relatives. Though you may not like some, you may have some bad experience, but just let it go. Let it go. Even for 1 second, if he had been good to you, take that as an opportunity. But meet, because this is your own family tree. You have been destined to meet. So at least once in a time, make sure that you meet your own relatives, spend time with your family, get your family to play some games. So important. You laugh so much because some funny things will come out of when you play. So make sure that you do all those things. So I've already spoken. So I'm just telling you the chemicals that can make us happy are the serotonin, which are mood stabilizers, more sensitive to diet than any other neurotransmitter. So make sure that the food is good. Even if you're eating the idli, my goodness, so good. Appreciate it. If you don't appreciate, your partner is not going to appreciate you in the future. She's going to make worse things for you. So even if whatever is getting it, be blessed that you're getting good hygiene food at home. So that's so important. And oxytocin, the love hormone released during sex, childbirth, and lactation. Dopamine, the reward chemical released during pleasurable situations. Endorphin works as a painkiller. It is healing. It doesn't need you to take any painkiller from outside. So make sure that you allow all these things to come into play. And that's what it happens when you do this. As your heart begins to pound, your brain chemistry reacts almost immediately. It feels so good that the physical attributes of the extended parts of my body are requiring and doing something, and I need to help them out. And this is how the brain helps. So immediately you get a better feeling physically, mentally. So this is what is the secret of life. Learn to respect nature, be with your own people, and enjoy life the way you have been blessed with. And do not regret. This is the biggest sin of your life. Do not regret. Accept everything the way it came. You were destined to have this. What was destined for you, nobody's going to take it. What was not destined for you or not destined for you at all. So you don't have to feel bad about it. Just leave it. That's so important. And thank you so much for your patient hearing. I hope I have not bored you all. If any questions, I'm ready to take. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Moslem sir. It was really very wonderful session. And we have a question from Munib. His question is that I do night shift since 4 years. It find it's very difficult to change my sleep schedule. How can I reset the sleeping cycle?
Best thing for him would be, it's not going to happen in a day or two. He needs to take a 1 month off. And that's where he can reschedule his timings. It's not going to happen one day. Otherwise, he has to take the help of medicines so that his rhythm of the sleep is organized. With the help of the medicines, he will be able to sleep early and set his rhythm. Then he can drop the medicine. There are certain good medicines which are non-addictive, but will help you for a short period of time. But then he has to keep the same lifestyle which he's doing. It's not going to work. I request all the people. I know there are some constants in life. There are certain things, responsibilities which we take over that we need to work in those shifts. But I tell everybody, if you're getting 100% on your night shift, please accept only 50% and work during the daytime. That's going to help you a lot in the future.
Thank you, sir. And if you have others, if you have any questions, please unmute yourself and you can ask the questions. If you don't have any questions, we will end up the session. Any questions, please unmute yourself and ask doctor. He's available now.
Hi sir, this is Balram here. I have been working in night shift since 6 years, and I'm in a lifestyle of working in nights itself. So what is the advice you give me when I'm working in night shifts?
So people who are working in the night, I would say that, the sleep pattern has to happen. Now you may say that I'm compensating it in the other day, but it's not going to be the same as it used to be, as naturally it is. But you need to do certain things which you're not doing. Most importantly, the day when you get a chance to sit in the sunlight, even if it's for 2 days in a week, make sure that you sit in the sunlight. That is so important. Secondly, hydration is very important. You need to have minimum of 2.5 to 3 liters of water, because I have observed that many patients who have come to me from the night shifts complaining of urinary tract infections because they dehydrate. Then a good amount of salts are not there in the body. They feel that, and then the worst part is that to stay awake, they are on caffeine, which is a diuretic. They consume too much of coffee, tea. They're all diuretics. They allow the water to come out from your system, but your mind is so preoccupied that you're not paying attention to it. So make sure that you don't consume in excess. You just take when it's required, like once in alternate days, especially on the night shift. I will not recommend that, every day you need to put in coffee into your mouth. It's better that you take it on alternate days, but hydrate yourself. That is important. And have fresh fruits. They're so important because their antioxidants are there, because all the damage that is happening because of the release of bad chemicals somewhere could be prevented by a good nutritionist diet and by exposing to sunlight, good amount of physical activity. You can play some table tennis or some game, because these are going to help people in the night. Because if you're not going to give time to yourself, then the time will take over you.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have any other questions? Anyone have any questions? Please unmute yourself and you can ask question.
You can ask me on anything, on your diet plans, what type of things you would like to have and what's going to help you. All those things are going to be, you can ask me. That's not an issue.
So it is a good opportunity to us to ask more questions. So if you have any questions, please ask doctor.
I have one question, sir. Hello.
Yeah, tell me, man.
So here, the place where I live, in my in-laws' place, I don't know because of water or what, because of what reason, there is so much of acidity problem. Like my stomach gets bloated, and daily, whenever I eat rice, my stomach gets bloated and acidity forms, and because of that acidity, I get so much of problem.
Mm-hmm. See, it's not. There is no documentation of water causing this unless and until it is highly chlorinated water. That in a swimming pool, sometimes when you go and sometimes people accidentally drink off. So that's a direct chemical causing sort of irritation to the stomach. But water per se is alkaline, so it doesn't cause any of this sort of a problem. But the problem could be because of what you consume, especially spices. Okay, if you're consuming too much of spicy food, if you're containing too much of yeast, if you're taking bread, oats, okay, so they're easily digestible. So more acid is required to digest them, and on top of that, then more acid is getting accumulated in the stomach. So this could be one of the reasons, that that acid is getting accumulated, and too much of stress. If you have too much, there's more acid in your. The best way to alkalize this thing is that you need to have water. Minimum is around 2.5 liters is what is required, because if you put extra, many people boast by saying that I take 5 liters of water every day. You know that, and I said your kidneys are not capable of handling that much. Your kidneys are capable of handling only 2.5 to maximum hours. If you overburden your kidneys, they go under stress. They don't know what to do. They will do the same water in some other parts of the body, which you are not even aware. When you wake up in the morning, swelling in your hands, your fingers are getting swollen. So many are not aware of it. So most important thing is that avoid spicy, oily. Most important thing is timings. You need to have your breakfast at 8:30. In between, you need to eat something. You can have some sprouts. You can have some boiled groundnuts. You can have one curd. You can have buttermilk. You can have lassi, something. And then you can, from the lunch and the dinner time, by 9 you should consume, and you can have a fruit. You can have tea, not the strong ones with spices and all that. So it's how you balance it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. Any other questions? I think, sir, we are good with questions. Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session. It was really very helpful.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. You're most welcome anytime. I'm at Sunshine. If anybody needs any help, as a friend, I'm most welcome. Not as expectation that that you should fall sick. By God's grace, I pray that everybody should be safe, and especially this Corona time. I'm requesting that the second wave, we're not too sure about it. But even when you're not too sure about it, it's better that our own discipline is going to help us. Make sure that you wear your mask and sanitize, and make the children wash their hands with soap. Don't put too much of chemical in the children's hand, which is not good. So they use the soap. That's important for them. And even while you're going stepping, because everywhere the percentage of alcohol that is being coming into the hands, and many people accidentally are just eating of food without washing their hands. But make sure that that they wash their hands and keep a distance. Don't step out in crowded places, because it is not yet gone. It's not yet gone, and it is there somewhere around the corner, and it's waiting for an opportunity to strike. So make sure that please stay safe, stay at home, maintain the hygiene. If you have people coming in, especially for those domestic purposes, make sure that they wash their hands and legs and wear a mask and come into the system. And please check when was the last time they wore the mask, whether they washed it or not, because many are carrying it for months. So I don't think that's the right way. So please guide the people and help them out too. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure, man.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Be safe, everyone.